Hello Scorpio, this is your extended reading. So are you ready for a huge new beginning? So I'll just jump into the cards. They are just talking so much today. So we begin this extended with another ace. So, being the Ace of Pentacles and starting the first part with the Ace of Swords being this truth, this insight, this epiphany that is hitting you like not only in your mind but also in your heart, and starting with another ace, but being this Ace of Pentacles, which, we saw you finding this core belief system or this core system of values that is providing you this firm foundation, right? In which over which you're just standing so grounded with this clear knowing and just desiring to share it with others, right? To share this insight, this truth, but also share the love, I want to say. So, because it's coming through with truth and this Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, I want to say that this truth is becoming real. This truth is becoming, three-dimensional. It's something that is manifesting in your life. It's something that is taking shape, is taking form, right? I want to say it's coming into being. So this is what I heard first when this card came through. Thinking into being, thinking into being, thinking into being. And it was like constantly this over and over, like a mantra, right? Thinking into being, thinking into being. And it's incredible because the card that is following being the Nine of Pentacles. So it's interesting because what I saw here, it's like this constant process of manifestation, I want to say. It's like thinking into being, and you becoming it. You are becoming what you think, right? You are building, didn't I say something about this fast multiplication? Whatever this one truth that is hitting you is, it's growing exponentially, right, with the Seven of Swords. And this is what I'm seeing here too, which is very interesting because it's like all of these thoughts, all of these new perspectives of this truth is making its way into this form, right? This physical manifestation, right? From a 1 to the 9. So it's this quick expansion, but in a very practical kind of way, perhaps financial, right? But I want to say something that was this image that I received with this Nine of Pentacles that was gorgeous because, you are this one pentacle here that is here in the middle. And what I was seeing here is like, not only you are responsible of this manifestation of thinking into being and building it very concretely, right? Very manifesting it with, hands-on, I want to say. And this expression, hands-on, is something that I'm just being careful enough with my words to express this in a way that is easy to understand. So whatever growth, whatever physical manifestation is, just showing up in your life, is like coming through you. You had that all along within you. You had that all along within you. Because the image that I saw here, you being this pentacle in the middle, was almost like these two walls in a sense. So what I saw is like you in this center position, right? Very strong, I want to say. I mean, it's like you never gave up, I want to say, with this Ace of Pentacles. You never gave up, right? it's like you were this very strong tree, right? Very stable, very, very aligned, right? But there were things in your life, and this is, you know, this flip side of the message of this Nine of Pentacles. There were perhaps practical issues or financial issues or just physical circumstances in your life that were pressing on you, because it's what I'm seeing here. It's like you were so strong, right? Because you were able to hold your space even in the most restrictive, even in the, it's like I'm seeing you just, you know, with your two hands pressing against these two walls that were just closing in on you, right? And you just kept your position. I'm just getting goosebumps all over. It's like you were so strong, Scorpio, that you never broke down, really. I want to say you were always unshakable. Your core was always, you know, very strong, right? Like this rock. You were this rock, right? In this very confining, I want to say, environment or circumstances or physical, literal physical environment, right? With these two pressing walls. But what I'm seeing here, remember what I said first about these two, right? Whatever new realization, this thinking into being, right? Now you're no longer dictated or pressed upon by these two walls. It's like now you are the one that is how do I express this? It's not that you're building your own security, your own independence. It's more than that. It's not so, it has to do with strength of being, right? That is powered by this truth, right? And so what I'm seeing, because so far you have been holding your position, right? In this very confined environment, right? These walls that are just smashing in on you, right? Pressing, and it's really uncomfortable. I see you, but you're this rock, right? You are very stable. And because you came through really knowing who you are, it's like you never doubted that however confining this situation was, it was not going to last forever. You just, oh, this is the word that came through in yesterday's reading. You just had to endure long enough to be in this perfect target, right? To set this perfect foundation, however big or small it is, right? I don't feel like it's too big. I feel like it's actually like your body, right? The limits of your own body, right? To be ready to receive this arrow of truth, right? You and yourself, it's like you were getting ready, being this rock, right? Maybe in the middle of a very, very restrictive situation or confining situation, even though apparently it could have been abundant, right? Even though you had everything that you needed in physical sense, right? But it was pressing in on you, right? And so what I'm seeing, it's like you knew all along that you could endure it, that you could take this on, because now that you receive this truth, what I'm seeing with this Nine of Pentacles is like now you are strong enough, now you hold this knowing inside of you, in your mind, in your heart, right? That is part of these four pillars, that you are, you know, finding this love that is part of this foundation, right? And it's like this enthusiasm, these emotions that are now flowing through you, right? It's also this distinction that I want to make between you being so rock solid for so long, you know, enduring for so long, but now receiving these emotions, these, it's like praise from other people. It's like people that are like-minded, right? They are flooding you with love also, and this is what is giving you the strength to see that this situation can now be overcome. You can enlarge your space. So I'm seeing you widening these walls, right? So with your own effort, with your own work, with your own time, with your own energy, right? With your own strength, I want to say you're just pressing these walls, you know, just to breathe again, right? And by doing so, it's beautiful because it's the first word that came through with this card. And it's a beautiful word. It's spaciousness. You know, having room to breathe and feeling this air flowing again, right? And so creating room, creating space, opening up space, right? Whatever was restricting you is no longer, right? And because we have these two cards following the Nine of Pentacles, right? I feel like when you find this spaciousness, right, within your domain, right, now you are, it's like now those boundaries are not so tight. Now you have space, right? And so because we have the Page of Swords and the Devil, so the word that's coming through is education. And you know, this Devil, because it came through in yesterday's reading for Libra too, right, being this tricky character, right? It's this educational process that perhaps it's also part of this recently acquired knowledge that you don't have to be oppressed. You don't have to be oppressed, right? You have what it takes, right? Because now it's almost like now you know what is behind the strength, right? This thinking into being, right? Building your own reality and not being oppressed or imposed by others' values, I want to say, right? Or even others' lack of limits, right? So now you're defining your own limits, and your limits are expanding outward, right? They're being widened. They're no longer so tight. And so this process was tricky. It was this educational process for you, Scorpio, right? It's this preparation, right? For you to, you know, it's this here. It's this target, right? This very solid ground upon which you now stand, because it's not that you're standing on it. You are it. You see what I mean? You are it. And so because you are it, this truth can come in, or has just come in for you, right? And this was the process for you to establish these 4 pillars, right? It was this educational process for you. And I want to say it has to do with bad habits, because, you know, the Devil presented itself as bad habits. So I because at first I thought, oh, okay, so this Devil is representing whoever thinks you're foolish, right? But it's not that exactly. It could be, but it's not the main message here. The main message is about bad habits, right? So it's like this educational process that, you know, and because it's coming through with the Page of Swords, it's coming through with this rewiring that I saw here, right? You connecting the dots or reconnecting the dots, right? So this is what this educational process is about, is this rewiring of these neurons in a sense, right? These new thoughts that perhaps they were, you know, for a while conditioned by bad habits, right? That is what this devil is representing today. And so being conditioned by that, by the devil, was bringing you pain, I want to say. So, you know, this education, right, through which you went through, right, was really crucial, because I feel like somehow whatever you were just conditioned by, right, perhaps eating habits or online habits, perhaps relationships, or whatever it is for you, you'll know, Scorpio. I'm just giving examples, right? This pattern of behavior that was not healthy for you, right, was there to show you that in reality the pieces of the puzzle were already there. So it's interesting because this Three of Swords is connected to this Three of Cups that we saw in the first part of your reading. And because this is coming through with this, it's like these fresh emotions, this fresh water, this fresh love that is coming through, new connections, new perceptions, new perspectives of the same truth, perhaps with new people that are now part of your close circle, to your intimate circle, right, that are, you know, flipping how you perceived whatever dots were already there. So I hope I'm expressing everything that I'm receiving right now, because it's a little bit complex. It's like the pieces are the same, right? The pieces are the same. It's just that before, because of the conditioning of this devil, the pieces were scattered. They were not wired properly. And now that there is this reconnection going on in your mind, in your heart, it's like now the same pieces are no longer hurting you, are no longer painful, right? Instead, they are very uplifting. They're very they're giving you this boost of energy, this boost of love, right? So, and I feel like that was something that required a lot of work. So this whole education process that you went through, right, before getting to this place where you now know that you can define those limits, you can enlarge your space, you can widen those boundaries, right? You were not restricted anymore, right? You were strong enough, right? You have proven that to yourself, and to perhaps those who were restricting you. But this education process that was showing you how you already had the pieces of the puzzle, right? These dots that I'm seeing, they just weren't properly connected to each other, right? They were connected in a harmful way, I want to say, right? And it was all internal, right? So because we have these two pentacles, right, the Eight of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles, and you know, if you've seen other of my videos, you know that this Five of Pentacles represents this very specific location in the map, right, this axe on a map. And interestingly enough, the Eight of Pentacles, to me, it's this overlaying of these two axes, right? But today, because it's accompanied by, you know, before we saw the devil, and the devil leading to this pain, right, with the Three of Swords, I want to say that when you were conditioned, by this devil, by these bad habits, by these bad thoughts, right? It's almost like your thoughts were not your own, because it's like what I'm seeing with these two cards, it's a little bit different than what I usually see. It's not indicating in a specific location. It's actually explaining to me how this situation unfolded and how now you are able to expand your limits, to, you know, make room for yourself, to just open up these walls, right? To push them aside and just breathe, right? Breathe in this spaciousness, I want to say. So it's like here is you, here on this bottom X, right? It's just this visual representation of you, perhaps your body. And what I'm seeing with this imposing X, maybe that's a double meaning for some of you. So going back to this other presence here, it's almost like they were attached to you. It could be another person, right, that was pressing upon you, not knowing their limits, right? And just, you know, I want to say overimposing themselves, even in a very bodily kind of way, because these are two pentacle cards, right? Or your space, right? Interfering in your space, trying to step into a place that is your own, right? But this is the interesting thing. It's like this required work. This is the endurance that I saw with the Ace of Pentacles. Because you felt their presence so close to you, it's like you didn't have room for breathing, right? Because they were so close to you. They were attached. They were attached as a negative influence, I want to say, right? Just perhaps, you know, instigating these bad habits in you. And so you were, you know, you were feeling this confinement, but holding strong, holding steady to your core beliefs, to your core values. And now that you have received this epiphany, right? It's like now you're able to open this space, to have this space for yourself. So this is this relationship. Before, your space was dictated perhaps by this influence of another, by this imposition, right? By this really close presence that perhaps required a lot of work in order for you to free yourself from this imposition, right? But you make it, because this is what I see here and this is what I see here, right? You are now, you have the strength, you have what it takes, you have the epiphany, you have the truth, right? And you have this love from like-minded people that it's just like confirming who you are, right? And so by doing this, by just, you know, pushing these walls aside and making space for yourself, it's like now you find it. It's like now you're on your own and you're relieved, right? It's these two cards too. Perhaps some of you are really, you know, releasing an ex and becoming single, but it's just an example, right? It could play out in many different ways. But this physical freedom, I want to say, with this Five of Pentacles, a space for yourself, right? And this is very powerful. So let's see what the astrological runes have to add as a final guidance for you, Scorpio. Oh, yeah. Okay. You are expending so much more than you think right now. So we have Jupiter, and it's interesting because, you know, Jupiter now is in Pisces, And on April 12th, 2022, this year, Jupiter is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and it's something, it's related to not only this truth, but it's also like this subtle intuition that maybe you had glimpses of it, right? But now that this very big truth hit you right on your chest and cracked open your mind, right, that we saw in the first part, with this Jupiter here as a final guidance for you, it's like now you are ready to expand beyond your limits, way beyond your limits. It's like you are just blowing up. Blowing up? I was going to say glowing up, but perhaps you are blowing up, right? You are glowing and you are blowing your limits, your own limits. You are expanding beyond whatever you thought possible. So just go for it, right? Believe in your strength. You can do it. So Scorpio, I love that final guidance. Yeah, I hope it was insightful for you in any way. Thank you so much for being here with me. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.